types of investment projects. Kama hukuchukua ile recording, acha space utaichukua because najua uko na access. Kama hukufuatilia hiyo recording ukaandika notes, acha space utaifuatilia uandike notes. Iba kama uliandika suggestion unataka kusikiliza mahali. So types of investment projects. So we are going a little bit backwards, but just the continuation of the note. So we talk about the types of investment projects, then we can come back now to some questions. So say number one, mutually exclusive projects. Mutually exclusive projects, then we say these are competing projects. These are competing projects which cannot be undertaken together. These are competing projects which cannot be undertaken together. Hence, the choice of one automatically disqualifies. The choice of one automatically disqualifies the rest. The choice of one automatically disqualifies the rest. So if you have two things that are mutually exclusive, one excludes the other. They cannot go together. Number two, complementary projects. They complement each other. So say they depend on each other. They depend on each other for survival. So complementary projects, these are projects that depend on each other for survival. Hence, they must be undertaken together. Hence, they must be undertaken together. Number three, another type of project, independent projects. Independent projects. Also, independent candidates. They're not related in any way. So we say these projects are not related in any way. These projects are not related in any way. Hence, they can all be undertaken. Hence, they can all be undertaken if profitable, and capital is available. Hence, they can all be undertaken if profitable and capital is available. So zote zinazochukuliwa as long as there is capital and they are profitable. They have no link. Another type, divisible projects. Divisible projects. We say these projects can be scaled downwards. These projects can be scaled downwards. Stroke partially undertaken. stroke partially. Andika tu part. Alafu kwa mbele ongeze IALLY, partially undertaken. In case of limited funds, they can be scaled downwards to partially undertaken in case of limited funds stroke capital. So being divisible inamaanisha I must not invest in the 100% of the project now. I can partially undertake it, right? So if the project needs 10 million for it to be completely considered or invested in, if I have 5 million, I can invest in 50% of the project. That is a divisible project. Sasa peana moja ya mwisho, kama kuna divisible ingine zinakuwa indivisible. So indivisible project. Indivisible projects. So indivisible, say these projects cannot be scaled downwards. These projects cannot be scaled downwards. Hence, can only be undertaken if the total capital required is available. They can only be undertaken if the total capital required is available. So they're not divisible. Kuna zile projects ambazo unapata like I want to invest maybe in a project, like I can have a project like maybe investing in a certain manufacturing project or buying a certain car or a certain ni matatu. Now the nature of payment that I must consider, like now when I decide to invest in the matatu industry, kwenda kwa hiyo gari kununua matatu, I cannot decide and say let me start with a half of the matatu. I must invest in that project 100%. The project is not divisible. But if a project is divisible, I can have a factory where there's invest in it in pieces. So yes, the entire project needs like 100 million, but I can at least consider it partly. So that is a divisible project. An indivisible project, if I don't have all the amount that you require to undertake the 100% of the project, I forget about it. Another subtopic. Sasa tulisema kuna ka recording tulituma. Kama ulikaandika, kama ukaona unaangalia waliandika kiasi gani. Ilikuwa 2 pages. 3 pages. Wanasema 3 pages. Sasa kama hiyo kitabu yako ni page moja. Sawa. So you can continue, right? So qualities of a good investment appraisal technique. Qualities of a good investment appraisal technique. So qualities of a good investment appraisal technique, we say this. Number 1, it should consider time value of money. It should consider time value of money by discounting the cash flows. It should consider time value of money by discounting the cash flows. So discounting is important in finance. Number 2, it should use cash flows. It should use cash flows and not accounting profits. So isitumie profits, isitumie cash flows. Should use cash flows and not accounting profits to avoid manipulation. To avoid manipulation. Number three, it should consider cash flows. It should consider cash flows relating to the entire life of the project. It should consider cash flows relating to the entire life of the project. In evaluating projects viability. So kama project ni ya 5 years, itumie cash flows za miaka zote 5. Isitumie cash flows za miaka 2 peke yake. It should consider cash flows for the entire life of the project. Another quality. It should rank the projects. According to their true profitability. It should rank the projects according to their true profitability. So if you have many projects to compare, the ranking process should be done accurately. It should rank the projects according to their true profitability. Ingine, it should be in line, it should be consistent. With shareholders' main objective. It should be consistent with shareholders' main objective of wealth maximization. It should be consistent with shareholders' main objective of wealth maximization. Also, then you say, just continue that statement by saying, shareholders' wealth is maximized. Shareholders' wealth is maximized when cash flows are used. Shareholders' wealth is maximized when cash flows are used, and such cash flows are discounted. When cash flows are used, and such cash flows are discounted. So if you qualify for the kutumia cash flows, alafu ya pili consider the time value of money, then it is also qualifying for the other quality to maximize the shareholders' wealth. That's how. Those are how many? 5. We'll give a bonus. Let's give a bonus. It should be consistent. With value addition. Principle. It should be consistent with value addition principle. So let's I can say to look recording ilishia kwa payback period. So let's start with payback period. Payback period. Payback period, that is PPP. Then you say it is the duration. Taken by the company. It is the duration taken by the company to generate sufficient cash flows. Required to pay back, recover to pay back stroke recover the initial outlay. Sufficient cash flows required to pay back stroke recover the initial outlay. Stroke recover the initial outlay. Now, from the word itself, to pay back is to recover. Payback period. What is the period that we take to recover the initial outlay? From our components of cash flows that we had in the recording, tulikuwa na initial outlay. Initial outlay is the cost of investing. After investing in year 0, the project will bring in cash flows for a given duration. Kama ni 5 years, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, we are having some cash flows. Then we have the terminal cash flows upon termination of the project. So even if you didn't see it, I just want us to understand how it flows. Initial outlay, you invest. In any given time, if I want to invest in a project, nitaanza na kununua the machine. I buy the machine, I incur some installation costs and all those costs associated with the initial outlay. After year 0, when I start my first year, now the project starts being productive. The productivity of now the project, I'm getting it my annual after-tax cash flows. Year 1 yun kama income statement sasa. Mwaka wa kwanza inilete profits, mwaka wa pili profits, mwaka wa tatu profits, but now we are saying we are using cash flows, we're not using the profits. So in our components of cash flows, we saw how to calculate the cash flows. Kama project it'll last for 5 years, it will bring in cash flows from year 1 to year 5. After 5 years, see if the project comes to an end, I terminate the project. So I'll have the terminal cash flows. That's how. So tuko na initial outlay, tuko na annual net cash flows, and tuko na terminal cash flows. Terminal cash flows is like the salvage value or the scrap value of that project. Now, the payback period, initial outlay is the amount I spent. So how long does it take for me to recover the amount that I spent to invest in this project? That is the payback period. That's how. Next point to say, for a project generating equal annual net cash flows, for a project generating equal annual net cash flows into brackets annuity. Remember annuity and lump sum? So a project generating equal annual net cash flows into brackets annuity, close the brackets, comma, PPP equals initial outlay divided by annual net cash flows. Initial outlay divided by annual net cash flows. And of course, your answer will be in years. The answer is in years. The next point to say, in case of a project generating different cash flows annually, can you consider that to be a lump sum? Kila mwaka uko na amount tofauti. So into brackets lump sum. Comma, PPP shall be determined by accumulating PBP shall be determined by accumulating the cash flows shall be determined by accumulating the cash flows until their total is equal to initial outlay. Until their total is equal to initial outlay. So PBP shall be determined by accumulating the cash flow until their total is equal to IO, initial outlay. Give me a small subtopic, acceptance rule. Acceptance rule under PBP. By the way, when are you happy? When the payback period is small, is low or high? It's a multiple choice question. Payback period ikiwa kidogo ama kubwa, ndio uko na furaha. Ikiwa kidogo, ndio. The sooner you recover the cost, the better for you, right? Yeah, so acceptance rule, we just say this. The management establishes maximum acceptable. The management establishes maximum acceptable PBP expected from its projects. Management establishes maximum acceptable PBP expected from its projects. Full stop, then you say, projects whose PBP is less than, the one set by the management are accepted. Projects whose PBP is less than the one set by the management are accepted. And vice versa. And just put a star kwa jina la kuseme for ranking purposes, the lower the better, the higher the better. The lower the better. So for ranking purposes, the lower the PBP, the better the project is. The lower the PBP, the better the project is. So kama uko na projects kadhaa and you're supposed to rank, ile iko na the lowest payback period is the best. As you continue with that. Advantages of PBP. Number one, it uses cash flows. And not accounting profits. It uses cash flows and not accounting profits. Number two, it is easy to calculate. And apply. It is easy to calculate and apply when compared to modern techniques. Haimaanishi kuwa modern techniques ni ngumu, just a comparison. So this one is more easier than the modern techniques. So it's easy to compute and apply when compared to modern techniques. Number three, it enables the management, it enables the firm to increase its liquidity position It enables the firm to increase its liquidity position since many projects can be undertaken. Many projects can be undertaken within a short time. Many projects can be undertaken within a short time. So because I'm considering the projects the shortest payback period, within a very short period, there's an invest in many projects, and of course with that one, my liquidity position is either due. See, I recover the cost as soon as possible, I invest in another one. So my liquidity position is going to be very high. Another benefit, it increases the firm's profitability. It increases the firm's profitability by considering multiple projects. By considering multiple projects with a shorter payback period. Multiple projects with a shorter payback period. Then you can give a bonus and say, it protects the firm. It protects the firm against the risk associated with cash flows. It protects the firm against the risk associated with cash flows after the PPP. Against the risk associated with cash flows after the payback period. Right. Then we talk about disadvantages. Disadvantages. Number one, it ignores time value of money. It ignores time value of money. By not discounting the cash flows. It ignores time value of money by not discounting the cash flows. Number two, it does not rank the projects. It does not rank the projects according to their true profitability. It does not rank the projects according to their true profitability. So sometimes we end up accepting bad projects. Like now we've said that first of all, management must guide us. Kama management wameset rate ya payback period ya management wamesema iende na 4 years. So that would mean if I have project A and I have project B, if project A has a payback period of like 3.5 years, I'll accept it, right? If project B has a payback period of 5 years, I'll reject this one, I'll accept that one. But what if the management had set their payback period at 3 years? So it does not rank the projects correctly. That's how the acceptance or rejection of a project is at the mercy of the management. That's how. So just saying, i.e., good projects may be rejected. Good projects may be rejected if the period set by the management. Good projects may be rejected if the period set by the management is too low. While bad projects may be accepted. While bad projects may be accepted if the period set by the management is high. While bad projects may be accepted if the period set by the management is high. I think that one we explained it here. What he said, at 4 years, we are accepting project A. Project A may be a bad project, but because when we set their payback period to be too high, we are accepting a project because when we set too high, yeah. Like set peer too low, like if the payback period was maybe 1.5 years, the project the recovery period of 2 years practically si mbaya. Lakini kama management wamesema ndana 1.5 years, we shall reject that project. Ndio. Yes. Another limitation. It ignores the cash flows. It ignores the cash flows generated. It ignores the cash flows generated after the payback period. It ignores the cash flows generated after the payback period, which may affect decision making. Another limitation, we are targeting 5, right? We are at 4. So number 4, it assumes that cash flows accrue evenly throughout the year. It assumes that cash flows accrue evenly throughout the year, such that cash flows relating to a fraction of a year, can be accurately determined. Which is not correct. Cash flows relating to a fraction of a year can be accurately determined, which is not correct. So if payback period inasema kuwa, inaassume kuwa, if for the whole year I got 12 million, then this one assumes that then that means I'm getting 1 million per month. So that kama 12 million ya mwaka mzima, I can get the cash flows I'm getting monthly or even daily. It's never true, right? Because tunapanga zile miezi tuko sawa, zile miezi tuko vibaya. Yeah, so hii inassume kuwa cash flows accrue evenly throughout the year. Let's hit our target of 5. It is inconsistent. With shareholders' main objective. It is inconsistent with shareholders' main objective of wealth maximization. It is inconsistent with shareholders' main objective of wealth maximization. Since cash flows are not discounted. So my objective, let's make 2 things have to happen. Cash flows must be used and the cash flows must be discounted. Now let us just highlight the contents of ile illustration tulifanya. I know guys, you'll have access to it. What was our initial outlay? The final figure? The illustration of which city? April 2023. April 2023, question 1. Question 1B. So our initial outlay made kwangapi? 6,200. 6,200. Annual net cash flows miaka zilikuwa ngapi? Miaka 6. So I can put here and the cash flows. So year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and year 6. How much do we have in year 1? 1492. 1492 year 1, year 2. 12, year 3. 1. 995. Year 4.
890.
890.
848.
Finally, year 6.
785.
785. And do we have some terminal cash flows?
Scrap value of 1,000.
So 1,000 shillings. So now, let's have its payback period. Hizo cash flows ni annuity ama ni lump sum? Merudi kwa zile maswali mbaya. Annuity ama lump sum? Hizi cash flows ni lump sum, ndio. So you have to accumulate the cash flows until their total is equal to initial outlay. That's how. So let's have its payback period. So payback period. What is our intention? To pay back how much? 6,200. Ndio. So nitasema I have the year, I have the cash flows, and I have cumulative cash flows. Cumulative cash flows. So we accumulate the cash flows until the total is equal to initial outlay. Now, I want to recover my 6,200. In the first year, I'll get how much? 1492. Ndio. After year 1, cumulatively, how much will I have recovered? 1492. I still have a long way to go. Ndio. My target is where? 6,200. Naenda kwa mwaka wa pili. Mwaka wa pili nitapata ngapi? 12. Cumulatively, I'll get how much? 617,004. 27. 2704. Ndio. Bado niko na deficit, bado niko na balance, right? Naenda mwaka wa 3. Mwaka wa 3 napata ngapi? 995. Cumulatively, I'll get how much? 36? 3610. 3699. 3699. Bado niko na mwendo, ndio. Year 4, I get how much? 800 and what? Cumulatively? 45? 89. Year 5, I get how much? 840 ngapi? Cumulatively, I'll get
5437.
5437. Alafu naenda year 6. Year 6, I have 2 types of cash flows. I have 785 and I have 1,000. So cumulatively in year 6, I can manage to get how much? 1785. Because remember, after terminal cash flow year 6, sorry. So after the 6th year, we are terminating the project. So this is also a cash flow for year 6. That's how. Now, comparing what I'm targeting to get against what I have, do I have more than what I need? I have more than what I don't put the whole figure there. I say, now, my target was to reach 6,200. How much do I need to reach there? How much? 763. Ndio. So inamaanisha kuwa my payback period is 5 years and a certain fraction of year 6. Right? So in simple terms, nitakuja nimwambie kuwa payback period will be 5 plus. So in that year 6 najiuliza, I'm only taking 763 out of how much? Out of 17? Out of 1785. Sasa kwa mwaka mzima napata ngapi? 1785. Si ndio? Lakini nataka ngapi peke yake? So what fraction of there will I need there? So this is 5 plus 0.47. 427. Kwa hivyo payback period inakuwa 5.427 years. As simple as that. Kama scrap value. I'm scrapping off the project now. It has served me for 6 years. I no longer need it. I can sell it at how much after the 6 years? I'm terminating the project. You can call it the salvage value, the scrap value, the terminal values. So majina zote relating to the end of the life of the project. Sasa. Yes. So that is the project you should tell the management, please run away from it. Because it's not even able to pay back itself. Sasa. No. Sasa kama itafika 6 years na haijakuwa paid back, so tutamwambia tu pale kuwa the project has no payback period. The project is not able to pay back itself. Sasa, but it's very rare for the examiner to give you such kind of a question. Sasa, was the payback period asked in that question? Waliuliza. Tunaweza enda kwa swali tukaangalia. Si ngumu kufikia swali. After all, ni page 1 ya first paper. Iko ndio. Sawa. Haya. So the question asked about it. Yes, naiona the payback period of the machine. Now, I think note number 5. I don't know if you are there. Nitaisoma ila ni moja tu. The maximum acceptable payback period for the company for all capital projects is what? It's 4 years. Now, if the maximum acceptable payback period of the company is 4 years, if you are told to advise, would you tell them to take it or the project should not be undertaken. And I think that's why kwa part 5 kuna hiyo swali. Advise the company on whether to import the machine based on your results in B3 and B4 above. So based on B3, the project should be rejected. You can say that in your books. So advise, the project should be rejected. The project should be rejected. Great. Then can you write for me next? Tunaenda andika hiyo title. Si atu hiyo goal tunaifanya. Net present value. Andika kwanza kichwa chake tuandike notes zake. So you can have it as number 2, net present value. Net present value say it is the difference between present value of cash inflows. It is the difference between present value of cash inflows into brackets PVCI. Present value of cash inflows, that is PVCI, close the brackets, and initial outlay. And initial outlay. Initial outlay is IO. IO. So the difference between present value of cash inflows and initial outlay, i.e. NPV equals PVCI minus IO. Minus IO. Next point is saying cash flows are discounted. Cash flows are discounted using the firm's cost of capital. Cash flows are discounted using the firm's cost of capital into brackets WSCC. Cash flows are discounted using the firm's cost of capital, that is WSCC. Now, the reason as to why I'm talking about tunatumia WSC to discount the cash flows, examiner can bring you a 2-in-1 question. Anaweza leta concept ya work na leta concept ya NPV kwa swali moja. That's new paper work. That is something you pray kuje. Ama ni MCC kuje. Una confirm kama iko kwa notes ndio. Iko tu. Between WSC and WMC, which one should Kasnel consider? Ama alete vile anataka. Asilete vile anataka, alete zote mbili. Una ulimangaliwa na machumba haya. Sawa. So my point is this: you can be brought a question, part 1, wataka calculate WSCC. Alafu part 2, wataka calculate NPV. Ndio kwa sababu na insist kwa kusema kuwa hiyo WSCC utaipata ndio utaitumia kwa NPV. Sasa let's talk about acceptance rule. Acceptance rule. We say a project with a positive NPV, is accepted. A project with a positive NPV is accepted when a project with a negative NPV is rejected. When a project with a negative NPV is rejected. Since it reduces shareholders' wealth. So meaning positive NPV increases the shareholders' wealth. Then full stop is saying a project with a zero NPV may be accepted. A project with a zero NPV may be accepted. hiyo ni ile kwa pale ile place ya indifference. It's neither giving us a profit nor a loss. A point of zero profits. Next point you can say, you can put a star, then you say, for ranking, comma, the higher the NPV, the better the project is. The higher the NPV, the better the project is. Advantages. But the advantages pia zinaitwanga pros ama cons. Zinaitwanga pros, ndio. Mimi lazima niulize, I learned a lesson. Nilifunza tu vizuri advantages of NPV. Si kwa hii class. Hii class ndio nawafunza saizi. Hiyo ni in the past. That's why they can narrate a story. After teaching very well advantages of NPV, kwenye exam room ni kitambo kidogo hata iko kwa first paper saizi. Nikafunza kitambo. So kwenye exam room student akapata pros of NPV. Akatoka exam room akaniuliza mwalimu, akapiga simu anakuanga na courage wakati mwingine. Sijui kama utakuwa na hiyo courage. Akapiga simu akaniambia, "By the way teacher, tulisoma advantages of NPV, lakini hakuna mahali to dimension pros." Pros ni nini? Unajua sasa hivi amefanya paper ya FM, baada amengoja FR. Wewe ukiwa mimi utamjibu. Hata nilimuuliza tu nini uliandika. Kaniambia maandika tu vitu zingine hapo zinakaa fani lakini amezifananisha na advantages. Nikamwambia sawa, umeandika sawa. Somea sasa FR. Fortunately ilikuja akapita hiyo mtihani. Kama angeanguka singewaambia hii story. So sometimes tunalenga hizi majina fani za wazungu. They come back to haunt us. Ndio. So advantages, pros, merits. Ndio. Kuna ingine tena. Inaitwaje? Drawbacks. Drawbacks inakuja kwa cons. Ndio. The limitations, right? Now, just say hapo chini, refer to, andika tusiogope, refer to qualities of a good investment appraisal technique. Refer to qualities of a good investment appraisal technique. I hope you're not telling me to refer. Now, maybe to help you, because your kitabu naona pages bado ziko more. Angalia tu pale penye uliandika qualities, uone hiyo space ni kiasi gani na uache hiyo space. That's how we revise. So that tutaliandika baadaye. Sasa unaweza msome huko, alafu baada ya kusoma ufunge kitabu kujiandika huko mbele. Test your memory. Yeah, so just leave some enough space. I promise you will not buy another book. I'm not telling you to buy another book. So let's talk about the drawbacks. Drawbacks, stroke limitations of NPV. Drawbacks, stroke limitations of NPV. Number one, it is difficult to calculate and apply. It is difficult to calculate and apply when compared to traditional techniques. When compared to traditional techniques. So see at in but in comparison with the other one, this one is a little bit involving. Number two, Number 2, it may be affected by the assumptions. It may be affected by the assumptions associated with calculating cost of capital. It may be affected by the assumptions associated with calculating cost of capital. Kama cost of capital iko na error, hiyo error itaenda mpaka kwa NPV. Ndio. And by that tumesema the advantages of NPV, tukasema purify huko. Si inatumia cash flows. Ina consider time value of money. Ndio. Na hata kwa acceptance rule, hakuna mahali tumesema the management establishes. Ndio. Tumesema tu NPV ikiwa positive, accept. Ikiwa negative, reject. So hapo hauna option ya kukataa project. Just management walisema wanataka inakaaje, ndio. So it is able to rank the projects according to their true profitability. So yeah, it is consistent with the shareholders' main objective of maximizing their wealth. How that? It uses cash flows and it considers the time value of money. So NPV uses the cash flows for the entire life of the project. If project ni ya 6 years, tatumia cash flows ya 6 years yote. So for the payback period, kama initial outlay ingekuwa 3,000, si ingepotelea somewhere hapa. Payback period yangu ingekuwa 2 point something if the initial outlay was 3,000, right? So the payback period ignores the cash flows after the payback period, so that is not good for us. So because kama ile initial outlay ingekuwa 3K, hatungefika hata 4 years. Hata year 3 yote haingeisha. So now already in 36.99. So ingekuwa 2 point something years. Ndio. So you might end up accepting a bad project ambayo after the payback period cash flows zake hakuna. Now reject ile project ambayo after the payback period is giving us a lot of well. NPV considers all the cash flows. So another limitation, that is the number 3. Number 3, it may conflict with IRR. IRR stands for internal rate of returns. It may conflict with IRR when comparing projects, when comparing mutually exclusive projects, when comparing mutually exclusive projects with different initial outlays. When comparing mutually exclusive projects with different initial outlays. Another limitation. I'm going to explain those points. It may conflict with IRR Rudio statement. Point number 4. It may conflict with IRR when comparing mutually exclusive projects with different economic lives. It may conflict with IRR when comparing mutually exclusive projects with different economic lives. So moja imekuwa different initial outlay, ingine ni different economic lives, na ingine ni different set of cash flows. Sasa tuandike number 5. So moja ni different initial outlays, ingine ni different economic lives, na ingine ni different set of cash flows. Set of cash flows. Different set of cash flows. So it may conflict with IRR when comparing mutually exclusive projects with different set of cash flows. Into brackets, non-conventional. Non-conventional cash flows. Non-conventional cash flows. Non-conventional inamaanisha like now, wakati una invest, normally tunatarajia kuwa year 0 ndio negative, year 1 mpaka year 6 ni positive. But tunapata project iko na cash flows of this nature in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Year 1 maybe ni negative, year 2 ni positive, year 3 ni negative, year 4 ni negative, year 5 ni positive. So the cash flows are not conventional. Sasa, in such a case, italeta shida na IRR. As we are going to see, if we accept a project under NPV, we are also supposed to accept it under IRR. Sasa, naturally. Lakini tunasema kuwa, there's some scenarios where that decision may change. You've accepted a project under NPV and you are rejecting it under IRR. Sasa, so normally, we are supposed to accept a project under IRR if we accepted it under NPV. But there's some circumstances where that rule can be changed. And when we have a scenario where such rule can be changed, then that one becomes a disadvantage to NPV and even becomes a disadvantage to IRR. So can you have this illustration again? So have illustration April 2023, question 1B. In the course of the duration, inakuwa tu negative, so that it happens. Positive inakuwa positive, negative inakuwa negative. So let me explain it as we answer this question. I just twist it a little bit. So, hapo kwa illustration, cost of capital tulikuwa tumepewa. Cost of capital najua tulipewa. Tulipewa ngapi kwa swali? 10%. 10%, sindio? So therefore, tuko na year, tuko na cash flows. Nazo cash flows, mulisema vizuri kwa ni lump sum. So we are using the PVIF. So that here I have present value. So mwaka wa kwanza iko na 1492. Mwaka wa pili iko na 1212. Mwaka wa tatu niko na 995. Mwaka wa nne niko na 890. Mwaka wa tano niko na 848. Mwaka wa sita niko na 785. And another year 6 I have 1000. So tumerudi kwa time value of money. Table 1 or table 2? Table? Ipata kwa tumjaje sema tu table alafu na relax. Table 1, table 2. Table 1. Sisi tumesema ni lump sum. The lump sum ni table 1. Right? So if you still remember how to use those tables, what is 10% 1 year? $0.1991. Year 2, 0.8264. Year 3, 0.7513. Year 4, 6834. 30. Year 5, 63 62 6209 year 6 nayo 5963 year 6 ziko mbili, usiende year 7. By 5963 So get the cash flows, the present values. Onyesha neighbor yote kwa ameitoa wapi? Ama umeitoa wapi? Ya 6 tumenyorosha. Tuweke ngapi? 5 6 or 5. So thank you. So get the present values for each year. Si hapo ni multiply. When you multiply, alafu na add everything. Whatever you get here is the present value of cash inflows. Then we less what? We less the initial outlay. How much was our initial outlay? 6,200. So the difference becomes the NPV. So the PVCI is how much? 5247. So you have a negative of 952. So advice, the project should be rejected. Yeah, the project should be rejected. Now, write for me number 3, profitability index. Profitability index. That is PI. The profitability index, we say this. It is the ratio. It is a ratio that compares, it is a ratio that compares present value of cash inflows with initial outlay. It is a ratio that compares present value of cash inflows with initial outlay. i.e., PI equals PVCI divided by IO. PVCI divided by IO. So I want us to look at how related it is to NPV. NPV ilikuwa nini? PVCI minus what? Minus IO. Now, as we subtract while doing NPV, we divide while doing the PI. So everything is the same. That's how. The only difference is that full stop speed. Nothing about PI. That's how. So can we have this one, the PI? So let's have illustration. April 2023, question 1B. Illustration April 2023, question 1B. PVCI. Tumepata ni 50 ngapi? 5247, sindio? Na IO ni ngapi? 6,200. So therefore, PI equals to 5247 divided by 6,200. That is 0.0. 0.85. 0.85. Nianze kuweka hapo years, the ratio 0.85 hivi. Now let me ask, under the PI, is the project good or bad? Hapa nipata after all sijakufunza. Tuna guess tu yote. Kama unaambianga na iwe sema good means the bad. I'm a good bad. The project is bad. Still. Why? Because the PI is less than 1. So let's talk about acceptance rule. Acceptance rule. We say a project with PI greater than 1 is accepted. A project with PI greater than 1 is accepted. We'll stop, continue by saying its NPV is positive. Its NPV is positive. And IRR is greater than cost of capital. Its NPV is positive and IRR is greater than cost of capital. So my point is this. My point is this. Explain. My point is this. Okay, accept project under NPV. Pia utai-accept under IRR, na pia utai-accept under PI. Sindio? Like hii project, tume-reject under NPV. That's why, hata kwa PI pia tunai-reject. Na mbona tunai-reject? Because the PI is less than 1. Sindio? Kama hii NPV ingekuwa positive, then inamaanisha probably hapa ingekuwa something like maybe 4,200. So that if I do this, divide by 4,200, it will be 1 point something. To accept under NPV, get to accept under PI, and even under IRR, as we shall see. That's all. Then next to say, a project whose PI is less than 1, a project whose PI is less than 1 is rejected. It's rejected. Its NPV is negative. Its NPV is negative. And IRR is less than cost of capital. And IRR is less than cost of capital. Then finally you say, a project whose PI equals to 1, a project whose PI equals to 1 may be accepted. May be accepted. Then you say, its NPV yake itakuwa ngapi? NPV itakuwa 0, sio? So its NPV would be 0. And IRR would be equal to cost of capital. And IRR would be equal to cost of capital. Its NPV is negative and IRR is less than cost of capital. Hiyo ilikuwa point ya pili. Ya tatu tumesema nini? Ndio shida mimi kugraph. So a project whose PI equals to 1 may be accepted. And of course, its NPV is 0 and IRR equals to cost of capital. Ndio. Anaonyesha mazao. Peta time pia imeenda. Sita imeenda ama imeisha. Bado. Leo tunafika 8:30. Ama mshawaambiwa wakujie 8. Kuna jam. Haya sawa. Can we add ourselves 15 minutes? Today, only today. 30. So I know from today going forward we shall be having very few classes. Because mtihani ishaingia. Kitu kingine huko shua kama utafanya mtihani. NB number 1. NB number 1. For ranking, the higher the PI for ranking, the higher the PI, the better the project is. The higher the PI, the better the project is. NB number 2. For merits and demerits, refer to NPV. Kindly make sure you refer. I've remembered something. There was a time the question was asked on I don't know if it was IRR or what. Write some 4 advantages of NPV. I think IRR, I don't really remember vizuri, either for FOF then you got a mwanafunzi candidate ameandika refer to NPV. Then you can suspect yule mwanafunzi wangu. Sasa sijui aliandika refer to NPV, unajua naambia examiner. Sasa ukiniambia refer to NPV, niambia refer to NPV IE, alafu ukieleza advantages za NPV. At least niko na kitu cha marks ndio. Sasa ukiandika to refer to NPV sure. Anyway. Wewe sijui kama alipita. NP number 3. PI is used under capital rationing. PI is used under capital rationing to rank the projects for optimal allocation. To rank the projects for optimal allocation of limited funds available. To rank the projects for optimal allocation of limited funds available. So capital rationing, we shall talk about it. That will be the last part of this topic. But rationing, we all live in Nairobi. Rationing is part of us. Water rationing, power rationing, demand is higher than supply. Still, you need to invest in 5 projects. The total amount that these projects requires is 150 million. But the much you can afford is 100 million. Then some rationing of capital. Ile amount niko nayo ni kidogo kuliko ile ninahitaji. So how do I evaluate those projects to ensure that even with this little capital that I have, I maximize my investments? The answer is in the profitability index. So we rank the projects using PI. Zile ziko mzuri ndio tunaanza nazo. Right. Internal rate of return. That is number 4. Number 4, right? Internal rate of return. So internal rate of return, we say this. That is IRR, nasema hivi. It is the discount factor. It is the discount factor at which NPV equals to 0. It It is the discount factor at which NPV equals to 0. Now kwa kufanya IRR tunajiuliza swali moja. If discount factor equal 10%, NPV is a negative of 952. Sindio? So IRR inajibu hili swali. Niweka hapa percentage gani ndio hii NPV yangu ikuwe 0? If I can be able to get that percentage, then that will be my IRR. So I can just say IE, the rate that equates PVCI to IO, the rate that equates PVCI to IO. Kama hii itakuwa equal to this, hapa nitapata 0. So ile rate nitaweka hapa, ndio hii figure pia ikuja 6200, ile ilikuwa 6200. So that my NPV becomes 0. Next point. The first step is to calculate NPV. The first step is to calculate NPV. Also, continue by saying, if NPV is positive, it means the project is cheaper. I.e., cost of capital is lower than IRR. Cost of capital is lower than IRR. So kama NPV itakuwa positive ni profit. Ndio. Positive ni profit, negative ni loss. So if the NPV is a positive, that means I'm making a profit. What does that mean? That this cost of capital is so cheap. That's why the project is giving me a profit. Like in our case, the NPV is negative, inamaanisha this project is too expensive. That's why I'm making a loss. Na si ni cost. So kama itakuwa positive, inamaanisha hii cost ni dogo. Sasa, let's continue by saying this. We therefore increase the rate. Using trial and error method. And calculate the new NPV. Targeting to get a negative. We therefore increase the rate using trial and error method and calculate the new NPV, targeting to get a negative. The next point to say, the opposite would apply. If initial NPV was negative. The opposite would apply if initial NPV was negative. So inamaanisha vile tu tumesema hapa, kama NPV ni negative, it means the project is expensive. And what are we targeting? We are targeting to get a 0. Ndio. So kama iko expensive, tumepata a loss, let us reduce the cost, make it a little bit cheaper. So reduce the cost, targeting to make a profit. Sawa. So ya kwanza ilikuwa negative, inamaanisha hii cost iko high. That's why I'm making a loss. Reduce the rate using trial and error. Targeting to now get what? A positive. Sawa. Targeting to get a positive. Alafu sasa mwambie kuwa IRR equals, let me get some space. Ya kwanza tulisema if the initial NPV is positive or negative. Is there a negative or positive? Tusichanganye. The first one we say if the NPV is positive, am I negative? Wacha nisome notes. Umerekebisha. It's good to ask so that you are sure. So the first step is to do NPV. If the NPV is positive, it means the project is cheaper, right? We therefore increase the rate to make it expensive. Yeah. Change. Right. So kwa sababu tukasema the opposite would apply if the initial NPV is out. So at the end of the day, tutakuwa na rates mbili. Tutakuwa na ile rate yenye ilitupa positive NPV na tutakuwa na rate yenye ilitupa negative NPV. Sasa so tumpe formula IRR tumwambie equals to LR plus LR stands for the lower rate. So NPV of LR divided by difference in NPVs. Difference in NPVs. Alafu huku nje na multiply by HR minus LR. HR stands for higher rate, still semi-human resource. So LR is lower rate, HR is higher rate. Difference in NPVs. Difference in NPVs. So let's have this illustration. Let's have this illustration. We just use the same, but the examiner anaweza leta swali moja na kuuliza hizo vitu zote. Tumeona tunatumia swali moja so far. Hiyo swali moja tumefanya payback period, tumefanya NPV, tukafanya PI, sasa tunafanya IRR. Na hiyo swali moja tunaweza fanya pia MIR. Discounted payback period ndio itakataa because discounted payback period, as we shall see, payback period to accumulate is the cash flows. Discounted payback period to accumulate discounted cash flows. Everything the same. Certain payback period. Moja ni non-discounted, so you don't consider time value of money. The other one is discounted, so you consider the time value of money. So discounted payback period, we accumulate these cash flows. Lakini ukiangalia, sasa tukiaccumulate, haina. Because the final answer, whatever I'm able to get, is not able to recover the initial outlays here. Yeah. So let's have illustration. We do the IRR for this. So illustration April 2023, question 1. So then you just tell him that NPV at 10% was a negative of how much? 952. Now, our NPV is negative. Do we increase the rate or we reduce the rate? We reduce the rate. We reduce the rate to what percent? Ndio sababu tulisema trial and error. But then nikipeana mtihani, alafu nipate nyinyi wote mmereduce to 9%. Simme corrupt. Mani wote mtafikiria the same way. 9.5. Na kutumia 9.5 na haiko kwa table. Kuna calculators ndio. Alafu tena ukichange your rate, usichange na 1% pale. Because your target is to get a positive. Your rate to reduce now equal little bit big. We always say change it by like a half. That's how. Because ukitumia 9%, you are likely to get another negative. Sipado uko na kibarua. Itabidi tena utumie rate ingine. That's why you say trial and error. If you do 9% and you get a negative, you need to reduce again and reduce. So as you change by a little bit bigger percentage. Ndio usirudie kufanya swali mara moja. 3 hours the exams inapanga kidogo sana, lakini 4 hours the class. So because we are in class, can we do new NPV? Can we do 5%? Let's do 5%. So we have the year, we have the cash flows. We have the PVIF at 5%, so that we have the present value. There trial and error, mimi natarajia mtu mwingine atumie 5%, mwingine anatumia 4%, mwingine anatumia 7%, as long as amereduce, na mwingine achanganyikiwa atumie 15%. But nikipata kila mtu ametumia 5% surely. Anyway, ndani ya exam room. Umekram swali. Haya sawa. Alafu natarajia pia wengine waende kwa table 2 waanze kutumia 5% year 1. 0 point. Changamka. Unajua karibu anafika kwambia nimefika. 95 9524 year 2. 907 9070 year 3. 8636 38. Year 4. 0 point. 82 97 27 8227. Year 5 is 0 point. 7835. Year 6. 74 62. Here may pattern 62. Now what you do, there is no harm in this. Examiner allowed you to use a powerful calculator and a direct. For calculator yako, this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this, plus get the final answer for chini. But you don't lose a single mark, but you save some time. Also need to find a way to learn on how to save some time in the exam room. So PVCI. Naipata? Umefanya 4%. Naweka hapo ya 4%. 4% is giving you how much? 63.19. So 75%. Are we lucky? We're getting how much? 6108. Wow. 6108. The initial outlay was. So we are still not lucky. You're getting a negative of 92. So see the point I was putting across. ukiweka rate kidogo, so na sisi divide by a half, bado imekataa. Tuna target positive, sio? So we'll have to do 4%. Let's go with 4% because ashafanya. Then kindly utafanya tu hapa, najua have you left some space naona iko huku mbele. So hapa weka tu PVIF ya 4%. Upate the present value. That's how you do it. When working in the exam room, be economical. Just in case, usianze kuandika tena kila kitu afresh. Sasa, so hizo simtazieka. Then let's borrow what she has gotten. So PVCI for 4%, you're saying is how much? 62, 63, 19. Minus the initial outlay of 6,200, you get 300 and what? 119. So you put these ones kindly. So that now we now summarize. Tuko na NPV at 10% ambayo ni negative 952. Tuko na NPV ya 4% ambayo ni positive 119. So inamaanisha kuwa IRR iko katikati ya hizi rates mbili. IRR is greater than 4 but less than 10. Ndio. So to apply formula yetu, andika chini formula ya IRR. Andika chini formula, ambia ni formula bali iko kwa board. Na kama amebit. Having written between 4 and 10, which one is our lower rate? So lower rate is 4 plus NPV of the lower rate is always positive 119. Divide by the difference in NPVs anza na hiyo positive 119 minus negative ngapi? Minus negative 952. Ndio. Then the difference in rates 10 minus what? It's 10 minus 4. So this is 4 plus 119 minus inakuwa nini? Inakuwa plus. Then you multiply by 6. BODMAS sinasema uanze na hii. .66%. 67. So 4.67%. So inamaanisha kuwa kama nitatumia hapa 4.67 NPV yangu itakuwa zero. Tumesema at NPV is 0. So if I discount using 4.67, I expect my NPV to be 0. That's why 5 ilikuwa karibu na 0. Here is only 92. That's why 5 ilikuwa negative na 4 ilikuwa positive. So rate iko between 5 and 4. So now for only 5 minutes or less, can you talk about acceptance rule? Anyway, the later note. Acceptance rule. We say a project whose IRR is greater than cost of capital is accepted. A project whose IRR is greater than cost of capital is accepted. I don't know if you're saying something. Hakuna mahali tumesema the management establishes. Sindio? We only compare the IRR with what the cost of capital was. Kama ni kubwa, accept. Right? Yeah. When a project with IRR less than cost of capital is rejected. When a project with IRR less than cost of capital is rejected. Ile kizungu mingi tulimalizia kwa PI. Si tunajua kuwa kama IRR iko kubwa kwa cost of capital, NPV yake ni positive na PI ni greater than 1. Ndio. Kama IRR ni less than cost of capital, NPV ni negative like the case here. Na PI ni less than 1. See, you already tried to reject. Because cost of capital is 10% and IRR is 4.67. So you're already rejecting it. And we rejected it under NPV. We even rejected it under the PI. Sasa, and tukasema, reject project under NPV, you reject under IRR. But there are some circumstances under where that decision might conflict. And those are limitations. Sasa, NB number 1. NB number 1. For merits and demerits, refer to NPV. For merits and demerits, refer to NPV. Number 2, for ranking, the higher the IRR, the better the project is. For ranking, the higher the IRR, the better the project is. So on Friday, we talk about the discounted payback period. Alafu tufanye pia mir na tufanye maswali. So God willing, on Monday, we are finishing this topic. Then we go to working capital management, which will be like our almost our last topic, our second last topic. After working capital management, we are left with ratios. Risk. Risk is something of less than around 30 minutes. I say thank you and we have a good night. Let's come up with a swali. But I think you can try a question, right? You can try a question. Ufanye 2 components of cash flows na ujaribu chenye unaelewa. Na ukikuja kama hujaifanya na kutuma ulete mzazi. Kama utasema wewe ndo mzazi wako. Na umesema tutafanyia kwa board. Wafula atafanya kazi yake yao. So there is question 5. Question 5A of August. Is it August or April? August 2022 FM. Question 5A. August 2022, question 5A. Just make an attempt. No, anataka rank the projects using NPV, using IRR. August 22, question 5A.